Okay, right. So question 19. This is called tricky. It's just a busy question. It's not difficult per se. It's just quite a busy question. So you're given quite a bit of information here. Selling prices, selling a product called the unpredictable. Quite an interesting name for a product. Um, so yes, it's called the unpredictable, and we should step by step go through. I think just want to highlight a few things. So you're given the production unit. So that's my focus when it comes to calculating production costs and overhead absorption rates and things like that. So let's look at the first one to really think about. Look at this, the variable production costs. You can see first of all it's 24, 24, and 2020. So I mean it's a variable cost. I'm given materials and labor. So I thank you so much, thank you so much. But now I need to calculate this based on the production, and that's so really my variable overhead absorption rate, if you like, if you want to call it that, is 24,000 divided by 8,000. The same thing applies here, 24,000 divided by 8,000, and here it's 20,000 divided by 8,000. I'll just change my pen color and make that red. And so now this is £3. This is £3 per unit, and this is £2.50, isn't it? This is where I would stop for my marginal discussions, but I'm just going to go on and prepare the last one, which is to do with my fixed overhead absorption rate, which is if I'm doing a full absorption cost, and I will now consider the fixed production costs of 64,000, of 64,000, and of 64,000 again divided by the 8,000, and excuse me, and that's £8. That's £8. And that's £8. Brilliant. So I have enough information to plug in and do what I need to do. So from a marginal accounting point of view, the variable cost of making a unit course is the 7 plus the 5 plus the 3, right? And so that's 7 plus 5 plus 3, and that is £15. From a full absorption costing point of view, I everything as it was plus the 8. So 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 8, which is of course equal to 23. So hopefully you can see where those figures have come from. Full absorption costing, we consider the fixed absorption overhead absorption rate per unit and include that as we go along. Right, so now it really is a case of just carefully map these figures in here. So let's start at the top. We're told that you sell, the question says that you sell. So now I'm just going to deal with this one. I'm going to deal with this line. It says we sell 7,500, 7,900, 8,400. So let's plug the figures in, right? And it tells us how much you sell them for, 28, 26, and 25. So let's go. So here we have, of course, 7,500. Well, I'll just do it here. 7,500 times 28. That's what the figure is for the month one. Yes, and that's 210,000. And then for month two, we sell 7,900 at £26, and that is equal to 205,400. And for month three, we sell 8,400 times £25. So what do we have? We have 8,400 times 25 is 210,000. So that's the first three months. I mean, the same thing would apply, of course, here. So I'll just do that as well. Of course, 205,400 to 110, and do the same thing. I'm just going to change my pen color. So opening inventory. So let's go back up here and assess the situation. When I look at my opening inventory, this is the first month we're producing this, and there is no indication that you had any prior inventory. It says that you've just your first month of operation. So I hope you will accept that there's no opening inventory. There's no opening inventory. But then you go along and you make 8,000 units, don't you? Right? You make 8,000 units. So using full absorption costing. So the same thing applies here. So that's 8,000. And of course, we said that the full cost, because this is absorption costing, if you remember here, we said the full cost was 23. So I'm going to multiply this by 23. Actually, I need the space, so I can't really do that in there. So this first one here, the production cost is going to be 8,000 times 23. And that 8,000 times 23 is 184,000. 184,000. But I can do the same thing here. Production here would have been 8,000, but this time times 15, wouldn't it? Times 15. So you have 8,000 times 15, which is 120,000. So that's 120,000 here under marginal costing, right? Because I'm not including the fixed overheads when I talk about marginal costing, but I am. So this is now I know it tells me clearly that you sold 7,500. We know that. So if you produced this, you must have had closing inventory, mustn't you, of 500 at £23. This is what you had, right? 500 times 23. 500 times 23, and that's 11,500. That's what your closing inventory would look like. Now this closing, so in here you would have the 500 times 15, 500 times 15, and there that gives you 7,500. So hopefully you can see where my figures are coming from. Now, of course, closing inventory of one year is opening inventory of the next, and that just goes up right there, right? Then it says that you are producing, clearly you're producing 8,000 every single period. So 8,000 again in year 2 times 23, which comes again to 184,000. So you started with 500 units in the month, you produce another 8,000, and you sell, if you remember, in that second year, you sell 7,900 units. So if you started with 500, you made 8,000 more, and you sold 7,900, you must have 600 left, 600 units left. That's the important point. Now, just to get this right here, in exactly the same way, this cost here would have been 120,000, wouldn't it? Because that is your 8,000 units that you've produced at £15. It's the same thing. But now what we do have is a situation where we have 600 units left. So our closing inventory, 600 units, is just different. And when I say it's just different, it is, I'll just erase this, just give myself some space. It is 600 units at 23. Of course it is. So it's 600 units at £23, of course, but it's also 600 units at £15. At 15. So let's do that. So we have 600 times 23, so that's 13,800. And of course we have 600 times 15, and that's 9,000. Yes, and that's kind of what we have. And then of course that 13,800 becomes the opening inventory, of course, of the next period, as does the 9,000. We do know things, I believe, changed a little here, didn't they? In year, no, sorry. Let me just be careful with that. Yes, I remember. Oh no, sorry. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So here things were just a bit interesting because I want to be careful. It was 7 plus 5 plus 3, 7 plus 5, but in this year it was 7 plus 5 plus £2.50 because remember this was different. So it's just going to be 50p less when dealing with each of them, right? So your cost of production here is to make 8,000 units. Give myself some space here. in this very last period, because remember that the cost of production in month 3 is the cost of production in month 3. It's very important to see that in month 3 was that you did 7 plus 5 plus this 20,000 by the 8,000, and that's £2.50. So the full cost of production is the 7 plus the 5 plus the £2.50, which is £14.50. So when you make these 8,000 units here, you're multiplying them by £14.50 for this. But for here, it's £22.30, isn't it? £22.50, forgive me. So your production here is 8,000 times £22.50 times £22.50, and that is 180,000 here. And here you have your 8,000 times £14.50, and that's 116,000. Yes, and we know, again, we just have to look at the situation that you started the month 3 with 600 units, right? We know that you had 600 units left over from month 2. So you started month 3 with 600 units, you produced 8,000, and it says that you sold 8,400, right? We can see it. It tells us you sold 8,400. So you must have had 200 left to get this. Opening inventory plus production less closing inventory gives you the figure of 8,400. And so what we now have, of course, is this picture here where we will have 200 units left, of course, but these 200 units, of course, are valued at this £22.50 because this is the cost, isn't it, of making this is the full cost, and it's the £14, so 50, same thing. So 200 times £22.50, and also we have 200 times £14.50. So let's do that. 200 times £22.50 is 4,500. And then we have 200 times £14.50, and that's 2,900. Wow, quite a lot of, like I said, there's just a lot of it. Now we just literally need to calculate our cost of sales. So our cost of sales here is, what do we see here? So we have 184 minus 184 minus 184,000 minus 11,500, and that's 172,500. So how did I get my cost of sales? Production minus closing inventory. How will I get the same thing here? This plus this minus this. That's my cost of sales, isn't it? 11,500 plus 184,000 minus 13,800. And here I have 181,700. And then doing the same thing here, I have 13,800 plus 180,000 minus 4,500, and I have 189,300. Doing the same thing here, I will have 100, like I said, it's just slightly winded, that's all, just a bit of a long-winded thing, minus 7,500, that's 112,500. Then you have 7,500 plus 120 minus 9,000, and that's 118,500. And then finally, I have 9,000 plus 116 minus 2,900, and that's 122,100. Now, I've already absorbed my overheads here, so I'm not going to have any fixed overheads here, but I will have fixed overheads. I will change my pen color. Let's go for what? Purple. Okay, so go for that. And so my fixed overheads here will be just those figures of 64,000, because that's what the was given to me. My fixed overheads are 64,000 as we're going. Remember, marginal costing considers fixed costs as period costs. Considers fixed costs as period costs. Just flat out what they are. And then, yeah, just to finally do the final working to see what these are. So now my profit, of course, will be the difference, of course, and let's just look at those. So my profit, of course, will be sales minus cost of sales, right? So 210 minus 172, 210 minus 172, 500 is 37,500, 37,500. 205, 400 minus 181, 700 is 23,700. Just wind, that's all. 23,700. And then you have 21,000 minus 189, 300. And that's 20,700. And do the same thing. 2,100 minus. So basically, I'm subtracting this and this, right? So minus 112,500 minus 64,000 is 33,500. 205, 400 minus 118,500 minus 64,000. That's 22,900. And then finally, I have 21,000 minus 122,100 minus 64,000. I mean, I don't think your exam can feature this type of question. It's too long. It's too long. Maybe elements of it. And there we are. Okay, right, great stuff. I think I'm correct. It'd be good to look at the answers just before we go on, because it's so important to get it right in terms of corrections. Because if you're going to carry on, so what do we have here? 37, 23, 20. Let's just check those. Oops, sorry. 37, 23, 20,700. So that's good. Here we have 33,500, 22,900, and 23,900. Bang. Perfect. Perfect. Great stuff. Now let's reconcile the differences. The marginal profit in the first month is 33,500. And the absorption costing is 37,500. And we know why there's a difference. The difference, well, first of all, we have a change in inventory. The change in inventory is we know that, and that change in inventory in the first was 500 because you had nothing at the beginning, so now you have 500 units, and then the fixed overhead absorption rate was £8. Yes, was £8, and so you have this 4,000. So you can see that that's why you have your difference of 4,000. I said it before. What you have here is that you have overheads being stored in stock that gets shifted into the next period if you're doing absorption costing. So that's why you have higher absorption costing profits, because you've that fixed cost where all of it has gone through marginal. Not all of it has gone through absorption. Some of it is shifted because closing inventory carries value with it. Let's look at month two. Month two, MAC profits at 22,900, and we have the 23,700. So this is different because now, well, it's the same. When I say different, you're starting the month with 500 and you're ending with 600, right? Because your opening inventory is 500, your closing inventory is 600. Your closing inventory is 600, isn't it? Yes, your closing inventory is 600. So you have a 100. Your change is 100 times 8, and you have 800. And when you do that, you can see that will also take you here as well. And then finally, you have units. You're going from 600 to a closing inventory of 200. So you have 400 units and times 8, and that's 3,200. I'll just slip in the values first. The MAC profit was 23,900, and the other one was 20,700. And when you do that, you will see that you can see the difference as well between both. And that's kind of the main point. Good. Of course, you're taking this one away. But I think what they just want to make you to do is so you can see the reconciliation, and all you're doing is you're looking at the change in inventory times the overhead absorption rate, the fixed overhead absorption rate, because that's what's new. Right. Let's look at this last question, this last bit. I'll just snippet it out just to have a bit more space so you can actually see what's going on here. If you look at this question, the question says that Tricky miscalculated at the start of the period and actual fixed overheads was 65. So the key point here is we're talking about these overheads, these fixed overheads. And the actual overheads was 65 each month. So that's month 1, this is month 2, and this is month 3. So month 1, month 2, and month 3. Right. So what we now have, it says to us that, well, actually what happened was, what you did was that actual sales were in line with budget, but production was 5% higher. And remember that what's happening here is you're journaling in the overhead of 8 based on every unit of production. So you had initially planned to do 8,000 units, forgive me, 8,000 units. And he said you made production was actually 5% higher. So multiply that by 1.05, right? That's what's happening. 5% on top of the 8,000 was what you actually produced. So you've put in 8 times 8,000 times 1.05, and that takes you to 67,000. That's what you have in your system right now, 67,200. Let's look at the situation here. You've gone and you've put 8 times 8,000 times, it says it was 3% lower in month 2. So you're only really putting 97% of that. It's 3% less, which is 97% of that. So 8 times 8,000 times 0.97 takes you to 62,080. So you've put in so far 62,080. And when we look at here, it tells us it was as expected, and so that was 64,000. That was the plan. So let's look, there's a difference. You've put in 67,200, but really the actual cost is 65. So you have overabsorbed by the difference. And the difference, of course, is 2,200. 67,200 minus 65 is 2,200. You've put in too much. So your journal would be bringing it down. You've currently overabsorbed by 2,200. Currently, you have in your system 62,080, but it should be 65,000. So you're going to need to put in some more. So currently, you're underabsorbed by 62,080 minus 65,000, which is 2,920. So you're currently underabsorbed by 2,920. And finally, you've put in 64, but really the costs were 65. So you've underabsorbed as well. So you need to put in an extra 1,000, don't you? Because take 64 all the way to 65, you need to put in an extra 1,000. Great stuff. Yeah, a bit of a long question. Sorry about that. But that's question 19. Cool. Great stuff.